and people who are seeking for job, relevant informations and things that will help them to navigate their career life successfully. So each time, probably twice per month, first and third Wednesday of the month, we do invite various seasoned speakers to come and share their thoughts and their ideas. And these are people who have been successful in their chosen career to come and share how they've been able to navigate their own career life. So tonight is going to be a special moment with our guest speaker who will be sharing with us 5 promising industries to build a career. It is our hope that after this 45-minute section with him, each and every one of us on this call, or those that will later join us, will find it nice, will find it very insightful and impactful, and we'll be able to put all of these things into practice. Once again, I want to welcome us to 45 minutes with my HR. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone. So we want to start now. Let me see whether our moderator is on already. Just a moment. Okay. Okay, Lydia, are you there? Lydia, are you there? All right, she's not here. So let's start immediately. I'm going to read your profile now. Okay. Okay, good evening once again. Our guest speaker tonight is Mr. Tobina Okole. Tobina is the principal consultant at Research Science, a Lagos-based management consulting company. His work approach is to be jack of many trades, master of most, in the same mode as Leonardo da Vinci, Jamin Diamond, and Robert Grace. This rigorous approach of cross-pollinating knowledge across disciplines enables Tobina make holistic impact that in turn leads to sustained success for his clients. His range spans industrial research, strategy, growth, product development, sales, marketing, human capital, finance, risk management, and project management, all within the context of the Nigerian business environment. Friends and colleagues on the call tonight, join me in giving a loud welcome to our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Tobina Okole. You are welcome on the platform, sir.
Well, thank you for having me. Very, very delighted to be here. Thank you.
Over to you, sir.
Okay.
So I want to tell everyone on call tonight that we are currently on YouTube at the moment. We are sending the link out already. Then if you choose, you may attend with your video, or you can still continue with your audio. Thank you. And please, let's be typing in our question in the chat box, or you can write it down. Once it's done, we have about 15 to 10 minutes, 10 minutes to 15 minutes question and answer period. I believe Mr. Okole is going to do justice to our questions. Thank you once again. Mr. Okole, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so how do I go about it? Do I use the slide from my end?
I can help you to.
Okay.
Okay. Can you see the slide? Can you see the screen?
Yes. I see the screen. Okay, okay, yeah. So let me share my screen.
Okay,
Just
I send you something now. I don't know whether you've seen it.
no, I haven't. Okay, let me just a second. Okay. Okay, so okay. Just a minute. Okay. So thank you, everyone. So let's get started. Today's topic, as we all know, is 5 promising industries worth building a career in. Okay, we've seen my profile. So before we jump right into it, it's interesting to first get a sense of what it means for an industry to be promising, because when we talk about our careers, we want to be in spaces that, you know, have a future. If you're committing 10, 20, 30 years to a career, you want to be sure that, you know, you're stepping in the right place. And in trying to determine what um, a good industry is, to plant or to spend either your entire or part of your career, there are a number of things you should look out for. So before we jump into the industries, let's look at a number of those qualities of promising industries. The first is that industry tracks consumption patterns and trends. So what this simply means is you have to know if an industry is viable or promising. It has to tie in with the direction in which, you know, people's tastes and preferences and the market's demand is going in. You know, so if everybody wants to if everybody, so let's say fashion, for example, if back in the day we're all wearing brocade, but now the direction is moving in Ankara, you can jolly well believe that if you're working in an Ankara business, you're in the right direction. So, and that's an active, promising business. Next, we'll look at is a business industry that is passive in its promise. And these are industries where the demographics and the socioeconomic fundamentals point in that direction. So there's some areas of business that nobody is looking at, but you can jolly well believe that the demand will be there, if not today, but in the future. So a simple case could be Nigeria's youth population. So we have a lot of young people. Those young people would have to be educated. Those young people would have some needs, and you jolly well would realize that if you follow that demography of, say, we have a lot of young people, and you have businesses that serve such people, then you'll be in a viable industry. But this is more passive as opposed to consumption patterns that you can see that shows that this is an actively promising industry. For demographics and socioeconomic fundamentals, it's not always the case. It's more about, you know, being promising for the future, and somebody needs to go in there and unlock the industry's potential. The next is promising industries track macroeconomics. So what simply means is if there are some industries that work depending on where the economy is. If the economy is vibrant, luxury goods are going to thrive. If the economy is suffering, as we currently are, then products that appeal, low price products or products that have very high value for money will thrive more. So you also have to look at what the economy is saying to let you know where an industry is going. The next is these promising industries also track microeconomics. So what this simply means is there are specific industries where you see people making a lot of money and profits. And it goes without saying that those industries will be promising. So you see our Nigerian banks declaring a lot of profit every day, high revenue, high profit. It just simply tells you that those industries will continue to be promising because the people who are playing in that space are making a lot of money, be it revenue or profit. The fifth to look at is the flow of capital, which simply means where investors are putting in money. One of the examples we see is, for example, e-commerce. So whether e-commerce is a viable area or not, investors are interested in investing in that space because they think there is something there. And if you're looking at an industry where people continuously put money, fintech is another example, then it only makes sense that that industry has promise. Whether that promise will last for a long time is a different kettle of fish. But at least in the short to mid-term, it's an industry to watch. And then lastly, promising industries track the evolution of work. So what this simply means is that there's always a new way of doing things. And if you see an industry that inculcates those new things, then it goes without saying that our industry has promise. We hear a lot about data. So businesses today see data as super critical for their decision making. So if you're in that space, if you're playing in that space, it makes a lot of sense that you're in a promising industry because that is the new normal. So having said this, reeled out these 6 qualities, there's something to be said. The list of 5 that we have, before I begin to run through them, is not exhaustive. It's just 5 because we chose 5. There are hundreds, thousands of industries that are viable, thousands of industries that are promising. I think if you look at these qualities of promising industries, they will put you in very good stead to know where to pitch your tent career-wise. So as much as we're looking at the industries we're going to review, it's also very important to have like a guideline of what kind of industries you want to be entering. And that guideline is just as important as the industries we'll be mentioning in the subsequent slides. So let's go to the first industry that I believe is promising for Nigeria and for those seeking to build out their careers. And the first industry we'll look at is transportation, logistics, and supply chain. And why is this? The truth is, people will continue to move, and products will continue to be moved. So Nigeria's population continues to grow, our needs continue to rise, and people will continue to move around. This is not such a new industry, but it's an industry that will continue to grow. And supply chains, as they begin to get more global and get more complex, naturally, there will be more opportunity in that space. So some roles that you should be looking at is pilot simply is a term for anybody who is driving vehicles in that space. It could be a bike rider, it could be plane pilot, it could be truck driver, it could be train engineer. But essentially, if you have a job as somebody who rides vehicles and moves both people and products around, then that's we can argue about how much it will pay, but it's a space that is not going anywhere soon. Another is aggregator. So you have your Kobo 360s, you have your Go-Karders, you have your all Ubers, Bolts. These are people who aggregate demand for movement and then aggregate providers or people who fulfill that demand. So that's always going to be a space that will grow. That's a space to get into. Lastly, is supply chain professional. Like I said, supply chain continues to be a space that is developing. More and more companies are recognizing that you're only as strong as your supply chain, how easy is it for you to get your raw material inputs? How easy is it for you to get your finished products out into the market? So these are some roles that are interesting in that space. Next is software development. And the reason is simple. Software is affecting everything. Almost every industry we see, whether it's doing business in Idumota or in Ladipo or in anywhere in the world, whether it's the woman who is selling in a buka in the streets, whether it's anything you're doing, there's always a software element. There's somebody using WhatsApp. There's somebody using one app or the other on their phones, one solution or the other, or be it even people who are servicing these people. Our software is everywhere, really. And that's, like I said, this is also not anything new, but it's worth, re-emphasizing that this is a space today. Roles, obviously, software developer is the common one, but more and more project management expertise in the game of software development is becoming more of a cherished role, and it's something to look at. So you don't have to be a software developer, but being able to manage software projects is an area that is growing. And lastly is product manager. So product manager really is, at the end of the day, developers are only developing based on a need. So a project manager is more of that person who understands the business side of why that software is being developed and midwives that process. So there's always going to be an overlap between project manager and product manager, but product is more focused on what software is trying to do, and project is more focused on, getting the thing done. These are areas to look at as far as software development is concerned. There are a lot more out there. Number 3 is, which for me is is arguably my number 1, which I'm looking at very strongly these days, is healthcare. The fundamentals, so healthcare will fall under, that's demographic and socioeconomic fundamentals quality. Because at the end of the day, we have a lot of people. A lot of these people will fall sick. A lot of these people will want better quality of life as we begin to get, more educated and more enlightened. And Nigeria has what it takes to be the healthcare center for West Africa, and maybe even Africa, because we produce a lot of healthcare professionals. We have a lot of people in this country. And interestingly, the healthcare space is one of those spaces that is not so hamstrung by Nigeria's infrastructure deficit. So that's just big grammar for saying that there are some industries where, regardless of the fact that we have a lot of infrastructural deficits, those industries can grow once we're able to unlock them. One of them is telecoms. So Nigeria is arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, telecoms markets in Africa. And still we haven't fully sorted out infrastructure. Our banking sector is also pretty big, and we still have infrastructure issues. And I think healthcare is one of those industries as well. So some roles, obviously, clinician is just an umbrella term for everything that has to go down in the hospital, from doctors, nurses, auxiliary nurses, lab technicians, pharmacists. So everybody that is involved in that clinical practice is under clinician. It's just an umbrella term. Then you also look at data professionals. In every economy or country where healthcare is heavy, the management of data, the processing of data is very important for the reason of diagnosis, for the reason of even insurance, and the wider healthcare ecosystem. So if you're a data professional, it's also a place, healthcare as it grows in Nigeria will need you in a very significant way. Lastly is concierge. Healthcare, what a lot of people don't realize, that healthcare can become, when the healthcare ecosystem matures, there's a lot that can happen that just goes beyond hospitals. You have ambulance services, you have tour companies, so companies that you can go to and they help you manage the whole process from, choosing what healthcare provider to get, getting the treatments, getting accommodation, sorting out pricing. It's almost like how you have a travel agent who helps you to plan your travel. Concierge services in the healthcare space are working in places like India, in the West. And as the Nigerian healthcare industry grows, that would be an area that will be needed. And there are a number of other areas, but healthcare is a space to watch, and it's also a space that is not limited to those who are working in the hospitals. In fact, in places like America and India, um, the, the non-clinician or non-clinical workers in that space, in some cases, are as much as 50 to 60% of the entire healthcare workforce. So there's a lot of hope for those who are not doctors or nurses or pharmacists to find a space to be valuable in the healthcare space. So next is outsourcing. This is also another, sleeping giant. We're already seeing some movements in that direction, which I forecast that in the next, say, 3 to 5 years would accelerate, and that's for the simple reason that companies are moving more to asset light. Whatever we don't need to have in-house, we don't keep in-house, and companies are increasingly wanting to specialize in what they do and move non-core operations out of what they do. And there's also another thing. One thing many of us don't realize is Nigeria is the world's second largest English-speaking population after India. The top 3 English language speaking populations are India. Well, aside from countries like America and America, you're looking at India, you're looking at Nigeria, you're looking at the Philippines. So, but India and the Philippines are very strong in outsourcing. But Nigeria has all it takes, because number one, Nigeria is a lot closer to the West. So a lot of the demand for outsourcing, if we go out of Nigeria, it's coming from North America and Europe. Nigeria is much more closer to these places than India and the Philippines. Nigeria has affordable labor. We even have a lot of cultural similarities with these places. And we have the ingredients really to have a very strong outsourcing industry for be it internally and for the international, for the global world. A number of areas to look at is sales. If it's sales in country, it's really companies saying, what, we produce something and we farm out the sales operation to a third party. If it's digital sales, you have things like, call agents and digital sales agents and all that kind of stuff that has already been outsourced to the Philippines and India. Nigeria can get in on that action. We have accounting, we have legal services, and we have a number of services, business process outsourcing, and so many other areas. So it's a space to go into. It's not mature yet, but all it needs is, let's even one of the spaces, software development is another space. I know, I'm sure many of us know that a small company called Andela. Andela is simply just an outsourcing company that, meets the outsourcing needs of software outsourcing needs, software development outsourcing needs of companies like Facebook, Google, and all them big Silicon Valley and global technology companies. So that's what Andela is doing. And there's a lot more that can be done in that space, and a lot of capital is looking at that space. And in the next few years, it's expected that space is going to grow significantly. Next is data and business analytics. Obviously, there's an overlap. Talked about data professional in healthcare, but data is something that's also top of mind for everybody. Decision makers are always continue to they always continuously want to know what exactly is happening, and that's what data answers. When you try to get data, be it quantitative data or qualitative data, what you're trying to establish is what exactly is happening. And then business analysis is about how do you use that data, how do you use that information, how do you use that intelligence to make better decisions. So it's about, let me know what's happening, let me make good decisions. And data is infiltrating everything that we do. Anything even as basic as printing out a company statement to see how the companies, how the inflow and outflow of their bank account has gone is use of data. So when we talk about data, anything as simple as customer feedback, when they call you that they enjoyed your product or service, or they didn't enjoy your product or service, is a data point. And increasingly companies are realizing that data is life. Data is the lifeblood of business. Your decisions are only as good as the data that underpins those decisions. A number of roles: data scientists, business analysts, and then artificial intelligence, machine learning professionals would always also be in heavy demand. So these are spaces to look at. Data covers so many industries, and it's increasingly becoming a space that is promising for career builders. And bonus industries is digital empowered commerce. Almost every Nigerian wants to be a trader. We're all selling something. We're either selling our services, selling the products. There's always this part of the average Nigerian that wants to sell something. Now, whether that is viable or not is by the way, but you see, when an activity is happening, you can build a business around it. You can either engage in that activity as a trader, or you can, during the California gold rush, there were the people who were going to dig for gold, and there were the people who were selling spades and shovels. So a fulfillment facilitator, for example, is somebody, for example, it could be a logistics company, it could be a payments company, it could, companies that facilitate trade, really, which is digital is steadily making democratic. So now you don't need to have a shop, you don't need to have too much money to start trading. You can go on Instagram, which is the platform. You can go on Gigi, you can go on Jumia, you can process your payments with Paystack, you can get GoCada to do logistics for you, you can get Go 360. So commerce and digital mixed together is also another space that is growing, and it's also a space to explore. Like I said, this list is not exhaustive. We can discuss them in the hundreds or in the tens, but this list of 6 is just to give us a sense of what kind of promising industries we have out there, why they are promising, what kind of roles we should be looking at. And as I shared in the first slide, it's also up to us to look at the qualities of things that make industries promising, and pitch our tents and fly with industries that are heading for the sky. Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Moderator, please, are you on? Moderator, please. Lydia. Lydia, moderator, please. All right. Thank you for this presentation, Mr. Okole. I must confess that I've actually learned a lot. You see, when you were talking, you made mention of outsourcing. Currently I'm in the outsourcing and consulting space. And one thing I've been struggling with is these Indian guys in Nigeria. Somebody was even reporting them to me, that the way they do business, but now you were saying that they are more into outsourcing. I said, no wonder. Almost all their business operations in Nigeria, they heavily involve and engage outsourcing firms. How do you see any Indian companies in Nigeria that does not do anything with outsourcing firm? They always outsource. They usually involve in triangular employment. It was when you were talking, and I now picture, I said, no wonder they have an history, they have a tradition of coming from the background of outsourcing. So thank you so much for this. I think somebody have a question. Somebody has a question in the chat room. I believe our moderator will help us to read that. But I want to ask just this question before we start taking questions from the floor. You know what? Nigeria is a peculiar country because and hardly almost 70% of Nigerian workforce, what they are currently doing now, the kind of job they currently do now, we didn't study them in our first degree education. Now you are sharing with us 5 promising sectors that we can build our career. Are there are there process at which we can get a certified? How do we know? How do we move into this idea? Can you mention how we can be able to, if somebody want to go into outsourcing, somebody want to go into data analysis, and he didn't really study something that are related to IT or computer science while during his BSc days. So how can such a person, move into this kind of thing you share with us? Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so there are a number of ways to go about it. A number of these areas, it's interesting. So, companies like Facebook and Google are gradually, even for a number of roles, are phasing out, BSc requirements. So what that simply tells you is if you can do the work and there's a means of proving that you can do the work, it could be your past jobs you've done, it could be referrals, it could be a number of things. For a number of these roles, you can get a job. So if I want to, for example, build a website or develop an app, and I say to a software developer, "What have you built?" If he shows me what he's built, that may be enough, of CV to get him engaged, and even a software development company can engage him on the back of that. So the point I'm trying to make is, for some of these industries, the world is gradually moving away from certifications and certificates, more to proof of what you can do. Some companies, you say you can do X, they say, you know what, come and do a test. You do a test, you pass the test, you get the job. So that's on the one hand, but for some other industries, obviously, healthcare and all these other spaces, if you, confidence of the market will be in knowing that they're dealing with certified individuals. And so for some of these industries, you have regulatory bodies. So the thing is, if you're going into an industry, it's to look out and see if there's a regulatory body, what's to use, either regulatory body or industry body, an industry association that is regulating that space. And it's also to realize that eventually, as industries evolve, some level of regulation and self-regulation, like industry having its own body, would come to be. So I guess all I'm trying to say is, on the one hand, some industries will not have any like certificate type requirements other than you can do the work. On the other hand, some industries will require certification. If they exist, they require that some will still engage you without certification because there's no certification that exists. But as these industries mature, certification would come up, and it's up to you to get it. The good thing about most industries is, with the exception of quantum physics and rocket science, there are very few industries that a person of average intelligence cannot enter. All you need to do is apply yourself. A lot of free courses online. You have Coursera, you have all the other massive online open course platforms. You have Google, you have YouTube. You also have independent people who are also training people. So you have all it takes really to get trained, and then you can just build. You can build up gradually from there.
Thank you so much. I actually agree with you. I agree with you. You see, of recent I did some recruitment, and I discovered something, especially in the area of data analyst and IT roles. They don't really, usually require BSc something. Once you are certified, once you can be able to say, okay, you've done these courses, you've done this thing, and that you can do the work, they'll put you on test, and it shows they will offer you the normal pay. I was surprised. I really. So thank you so much. So people who are on the call tonight, in case you want to move into IT, say I didn't do computer science and during my BSc days, it's never too late to change a career, especially in the IT. And IT is one of the sectors or industry that are really paying well, that are doing fantastically well. So I want to encourage everyone on call tonight. If you have interest in IT space, please and take the bull by the horn, and you'll be surprised that the sky will be the limit. So thank you, Mr. Okole. Please, another Lydia, please over to you, moderator.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Okay, it was Joyce. Joyce dropped a comment, but it wasn't exactly a question. She was just appreciating the speaker. She said, "Thank you, Mr. Tobina. I never knew the healthcare and outsourcing sectors are hot cake. Thank you once again."
You're welcome. You're welcome, Joyce.
So members of the panel, if you have any questions, please, now is the right time to drop them. Thank you.
Or they can even unmute themselves and then go ahead and ask their questions. While we are waiting for people who want to ask questions, I don't know whether you want to have one or two words regarding the comment Joyce made regarding health sector and outsourcing and space.
Yeah. So
one or two things to say.
Yeah. So for healthcare, you see, the need continues to be there. So and you know that's a space. You know, in the past 2 years, I've been doing a lot of work in that space, and you continuously see that the need is there. You know. The challenge in that space really is that there isn't a trust in the system. So what do I mean by trust? If any of us develops a fever or is feeling ill or has a cough, the first thing we think about is not going to the hospital. At least the average Nigerian, it's to go and find the means of treating yourself first. And if you're unable to get relief, you then begin to either go into traditional medicine or go into the orthodox medical space. And the reason is currently the healthcare space is the thinking is recalibration. Currently, the healthcare space is really about maximizing profits. I know you always have people say that they went to the hospital, they didn't get good treatment. All hospitals want to make is money. But in places like India, as you know, is the world's leader in medical tourism. And what they focus on is superior outcomes, low costs, and fast turnaround. So in the Indian hospital system, what they've made their trademark is they want to charge you as little as possible. So if a procedure is costing $100, for example, they want to see how to bring it out to $80. They're not trying to see how to bring it up to $200. And you see, it's almost like what happened in telecoms in Nigeria. Remember, there was a time when telecom started, when not even GSM, when we had phones. To get a phone was a very expensive endeavor. GSM came and has progressively made it cheaper. And as it has made it cheaper, more people now use phones and have come into the telecom. More users have come into the telecom space. And the same thing is going to happen in healthcare. You know, the moment the healthcare space begins to focus more on, you know, how can we improve efficiency so people don't spend as much and people get the good outcomes faster. So in India, for example, a KPI is that you spend as little time in the hospital. So the hospital is not trying to keep you and milk you and milk you and milk you. They're trying to say if you can spend just 1 or 2 days in the hospital and we can discharge you, that is what we are trying to target. And we charge you as little as possible, knowing that more people can come through the system. You know, so part of the incentive for that really is to say, you know, if you have Singapore, you have the US, you have the UK, you have Europe, why do you want to go to India? But India has said the reason you want to come to us is that we are cheaper, you get your results faster, and you know, faster turnaround, and that's what has attracted the world to India. And you see, that can also attract Africa to Nigeria. You know, not just Nigerians, but the whole of Africa. You know, and like I said, I talk to investors, and healthcare is one of the spaces investors continue to look at because they recognize that we in Nigeria, there's something, Nigeria with our youth population, there's something they say. We are what we call chronically healthy. What it simply means is you have many young Nigerians. So young people are always healthy, but the problem is whenever we get sick, most of us die. So whereas in the US, where you have an Italy and all these places, where you have a lot of people living into old age because they have a valuable healthcare system. In Nigeria, it's such that you're healthy when you're young, and when anything happens, it just takes your health away. It takes your life away. A lot of people are looking at changing that, and that's a space to watch. And lastly, I'll say that the healthcare space, like I said, is an ecosystem. You have data in it. You have even accommodation in it. So what places like India do is you spend a few days in the hospital, then you move to a hotel, a cheaper hostel or hotel. So the hospital is not trying to keep you in the hospital and you pay hefty bills. They have third-party people who have built cheap accommodation to say, okay, while you're recovering, leave off the hospital. They have this massive, they have tour guides. So there are Indian companies that in Nigeria, if you want to go to India, they help you arrange your visa, arrange your flight plans, arrange your accommodation, arrange the hospital. Even Indian companies have pricing. There's some Indian companies you go to, you see price, the same way you can see price of mobile phones, you see price of procedures. So, sitting down in Nigeria, before I go for that hip replacement surgery or this, I know how much I'm spending. So all of this is an ecosystem, and as Nigeria's healthcare space grows, that entire ecosystem is going to come about. It's going to employ a lot of people. The second thing was outsourcing. Like I said, internally, companies are gradually moving. Like you said, it's Ebenezer about Indians, and companies are generally gradually moving away from doing a lot of things in-house. Companies, FMCG companies are moving away from logistics. They're now hiring third-party logistics companies to do deliveries and warehousing. Companies are hiring outside software developers. Banks are hiring outside software developers. Some companies are hiring outside legal professionals and accountants. So that's happening. And then there's the global wave as well. Companies, India and Philippines are the places today, but Nigeria has what it takes. Andela has started in Nigeria and has shown that it can work to some extent for software development. But you have so many other areas. I know people that are doing it in a small way in accounting. So there's a lot more that can happen, and Nigeria is ripe to provide that. Imagine Ilorin, for example, being the outsourcing hub for maybe call centers. Imagine Enugu, for example, being the outsourcing hub for accountants. The good thing about outsourcing also is that once you have good internet, you can have outsourcing hubs outside Lagos. So if there's good internet in Sokoto, guys there can, you can, because labor will be cheaper in Sokoto, so you can have all your accountants based in Sokoto instead of paying expensive people in Lagos, for example, and all that. So outsourcing has a lot of promise. Like I said, investors are also looking at that space, and it's something it might not be so big today, but it's something for people to look at and try to position themselves for. Yes. I'm also seeing that Ada Ezema is saying, he's also talking about the agricultural sector being promising. So the thing with agro definitely will be promising, but there are a number of, so for me, I do a lot of research, and the challenge with agro, there are pockets of spaces in agro that have promise. And as we all know, there are a lot of money is going into agro, but there are a lot of we're struggling in a lot of areas. One of the reasons is infrastructure. So if you look at a number of the promising industries that I've talked about, infrastructure, they are to varying degrees like infrastructure proof, but agro is heavily dependent on infrastructure. You can't just say you farm online. You have to actually farm in the farm. You have to move the things out. So infrastructure is going to hold agro down. Another thing is, which a lot of us don't consider, is many of our staples are not things we produce in Nigeria. So one of our staples, or even if we produce them in Nigeria, we don't produce competitively in Nigeria. One of the you can say arguably our number one or number two staple in Nigeria is wheat. well, if you ask people what's number one consumed agro produce in Nigeria is, many of us will say rice. But realize that noodles, Indomie noodles, and other noodles are made from wheat. Pasta is made from wheat. Bread is made from wheat. Biscuits are made from wheat. Chin is made from wheat. Semo is made from wheat. You know, so, and Nigeria, based on our climate, is not designed to be a major wheat producing country. Another one that we know is rice. You know, as much as we can increase our rice production, the truth is it's still so far more commercially viable to produce rice in some other countries. So you have rice, you have, and even our oils are largely imported. We even import a lot of palm oil. So the point I'm trying to make is a lot of the things that we consume, we import. That's also something that is working against agro. Can we sort it out? Yes, but because, like I said, agro cannot jump a lot of these infrastructural or real friction, national friction issues. Agro is promising, but you know, it's still going to be very hard to unlock. Like I said, there will be small pockets of areas you can unlock, but at a very grand scale, it's very difficult. And as we all know, a lot of money has been thrown into agro. CBN has thrown money into rice, we've thrown money into cassava, we've thrown money into so many of these areas. And the success is still limited. So I won't say agro is not promising, but the path to making it promising is a lot more difficult. And we can't say because we want to force agro to be promising, we don't begin to look at other areas that are promising. You see, we as a country, sorry, I'm beginning to go into more of like, talk more, will I say, as an economist or a political scientist, but I think we as a country need to begin to look at some advantages we have that we've not tapped. Healthcare is a big space. Nigeria produces a lot of doctors. So we say our medical system, schools are bad, but a lot of these doctors are being swallowed by Canada, by Australia, by the UK, by the Middle East. You know, so if these doctors are so half-baked, how come they're going into all these places and they're being accepted with open arms? So Nigeria, healthcare is something that we can grow for Nigeria and grow for the region. Outsourcing is something that can grow. So while we're still trying to make places like software development is something that can grow, because one thing you must realize about things like software development and data and business analytics is these are areas you can grow in without, like, you don't need any legacy advantages. There's some things that we cannot compete with. So we can't compete with Europe and America and say some Asian countries in producing chemicals, because they have a lot of the intellectual property, they have a lot of the legacy knowledge. But software development is something you can pick up today and be good at in the next 1-2 years. So we have industries that Nigeria can immediately catch up on. We did that with GSM. We did that with our financial services sector. We are doing that with our startup scene. So while we are looking at places like agriculture that will give us self-sufficiency, there are some other areas that, you know, we have a lot of potential that we also need to start looking at that can even begin to give us very good, you know, forex. And then, you know, we can then take our time to grow agro, but it doesn't mean that we can't be doing some other things. Bear in mind that many of the big countries of the world are not just producing agricultural products, they're also doing a lot of other, you know, service-based, intellectual-based things, and those things are also giving them very, very good, good GDP outputs. I hope I answered the question.
To me, yes. I don't know whether the person who asked the question is satisfied. Ezima, did the speaker answer the question very well to your own satisfaction? Are you there, Ezima? All right. Please, any question from the people on the call tonight before we call it? Okay. She said yes, thanks. Ezima last, she said yes, thanks. So another question before we call it close tonight. All right. Mr. Okole, once again, on behalf of everybody on the call tonight, we just want to appreciate you. So if you want to follow you, I'll be giving you a minute or two now to share with us how a participant tonight, both on YouTube and live here on Zoom, can see some of the work you do. I must confess to everyone on the call tonight that if you follow this man on LinkedIn, the first time what even make me to follow him very well. I read one article he wrote concerning the soft drink market. Wow. I used to think I'm very strategic, but when you see the analysis, you say, where did this guy get this information? So he's fully into strategy and research. Please, he'll be sharing with us before we close tonight how we can follow up with him, or probably you want to consult him, you want to do some research or so, he'll be sharing his contact details with us. And some people have been asking me, are we going to share the slides with them? Yes, with your own permission, we're going to send the slides. Should be better. We will send it to them tonight. But then, and there's a quote I saw a few weeks ago that said, and people are not your best asset. He said the right people are. And on our 45 minutes with 45 minutes with my HR, we'll be having some fantastic team members, volunteers who have been, making this work very incredibly easy. One of such is Mr. Wale, is a guy usually in charge of our Zoom and YouTube work, and by the grace of God is celebrating 40th birthday on the 31st of this month. So I just want us to please congratulate him. Then I think he wants to give us an invite. Can you see my screen? So please help me to wish Mr. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can. Yes,
okay.
Can.
Okay, please help me to unmute yourself and wish Mr. Olawale a very happy birthday in advance. That the Lord will make him to see the next 40 years in good health and sound health. Please, can we just express, he's a fantastic guy. I must confess, he's a fantastic guy. Ever since he joined us on this work, it has made our work very easy. Can we just celebrate this man and just wish him well? He's inviting us to, Mr. Wale, are you here?
Yes, Mr. I'm here.
Okay, please. Okay, yeah, please.
Yes, happy birthday, Wale.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, I'm inviting you all, if you can make it. It's a Monday. May 31st is a Monday. If you can make it physically to Lekki, we appreciate. But if you can't make it, you can join us via Zoom. I've dropped the link in the chat room, please. If you can join us physically, please do join us, celebrate, let's take pictures, let's make it memorable. But in case you are not in Lagos or you'll be busy that morning, please join via Zoom. I will appreciate. Thank you so much.
Mr. Wale, happy birthday to you in advance.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Shegun Akoni. I'm a member of House on the Rock.
Wow.
I'm in RFF department.
Oh, I'm in E-team.
I guess I think I know your face.
Wow.
I'll probably check you on Sunday. I mean, that's my church since 1996.
So wow, they've not bought me that time. Thank you so much. Hope to see you on Sunday.
In advance.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
So
happy birthday, Mr. Wale. Wish you many happy returns.
Which is Sunday.
It's a Monday. 31st is Monday.
Before the main day.
All right.
The main day is 31st now.
31st, yeah.
Cake will not be ready then now. The cake will not be ready at that time.
Okay.
So many.
All right. Once again,
you,
Mr. Wale, we say birthday. Yes, Mr. Wale, happy birthday to you. So, I guess, Peter, thank you for this work you put and the information you share with us. I must confess that you have given me some assignment tonight. Number one, to go and study more about outsourcing as regard and what's it called, Indian and one other country you made mention of that they are more
Philippines,
into
the Philippines.
Exactly, Philippines. Then two, also I think I've heard this somewhere before, but I need to make research that Nigeria is second largest English speaking nation after India, aside from America and UK also. So I need to make those research and rest. Thank you so much. You also encourage those of us who are into outsourcing and recruitment, and consulting. Thank you so much. Can we please have your final remark before we give you a parting times?
Okay, so first things first, Wally, happy birthday, and here's wish, hoping that you have a wonderful day and a wonderful life ahead.
Amen.
Yeah. So you're welcome. So to everybody, thank you for your time. If you want to reach me, you can always reach. I'm really active on social media, but I'm quite active on LinkedIn. So just search for my name, Tobena Okoli. And you can follow me or send me a connection request and I'll connect with you. I try to post every day about different business related topics just to help Nigerians, with a focus largely on Nigeria, just to help Nigerian business people and professionals just have better understanding of what they're doing and enjoy better success at what they do. So yeah, on a parting note, all I'll just say is I believe that we as professionals, we as business people, never stop learning, never stop. They say there are 3 levels to learning. There's first level of, there are 3 levels, 3 levels of thinking. There's the level of ignorance, level 1, where you really don't know much. There's the second level of knowledge, where you know some things, at least like compared to the average person, you're averagely knowledgeable. And there's a third level of realizing how little you know relative to what amount of knowledge is out there. And that's level 3 thinking, where you are knowledgeable, but you are insecure enough to know that my knowledge is just a drop in the bucket. So I will enjoy us to be level 3 thinkers who consistently realize that as much as we know a lot, we're still hungry to know more. We're still hungry to, unlearn what we know, relearn, and then we just keep developing our minds, and we'll obviously enjoy a lot more success at all that we do as we become lifelong learners. So thank you for your time again.
Thank you so much. May I request my boss, Mr. Segun Akande, to please just give us the final remark on this platform tonight, talking from the business owners. So this now we focus on people who are looking for a job or people who want to build a career. What are people who want to say, what, I've been a successful career person, I want to just move into investment. And I believe something we share with us this night can also enhance such a people. Mr. Segun, over to you, sir.
Mr. Ebenezer always putting me on the spot. Okay, so what am I supposed to talk about? Transition from business, from employment to business, or what?
Something like in that line. Just give us probably some of our people on call tonight, probably they are doing well professionally and they just want to say, what about to invest? Like Mr. Okoli said this night that.
Okay, look.
E-commerce is there.
If you are presently working on your paid employment, I will advise that you start doing what they call side business. But don't allow the side business to take your time, because your own business keep on growing. Because where you are being paid salary. So if you business, make sure it doesn't disturb your work hours. Just look at something that you can do that will not take much of your time.
I hear you very well.
Oh, okay. You don't hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it's very faint.
I think my...
Okay, it's okay now. It's okay now. It's okay now.
Okay. So bottom line, it's good to have a second stream of income. So if you can do it such a way that it will not affect your present job, fantastic. But if it will, so it's time for you to look what do I want to go into? You want to go into business or someone to do the job. You follow your passion. That's what I can advise you. Doing business, starting business is not easy. So it's good to start early because you have some little problem. But if you have a backup that then you are good to go. There's a lot to say, but because of time, let me just end at that follow your passion. But don't say because I want to have Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Segun Akone. We want to appreciate you for being on the call tonight. And special thanks to our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Okoli Otobina. Thank you so much. Can we please unmute our mic and just say a word of appreciation to our guest speaker tonight? In fact, a few days ago, he took ill and he has been struggling with his head, but we just pray that God will grant him perfect recovery. You can see while he was presenting tonight, he was trying to, get himself. So thank you so much, sir. Can you please unmute ourselves and just appreciate Mr. Okoli?
Mr. Tobina, thank you very much for your presentation tonight.
Thank
you so much, Mr. Tobina.
It's really worth it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for everyone who made it a date with us tonight. We promise to keep up the good work. We shall be sending these slides on 45 minutes with my HR.
Mr. Ebenezer, I also want to thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. You are doing a very good job.
Thank you so much.
You're doing the Lord's work.
It's the Lord's work. And definitely you get your reward.
Amen.
You definitely will get your reward.
Amen.
We appreciate you,
Thank you so much.
God bless you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
If not for this forum, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Good night, everyone. Good night, Mr. Okoli. Thank you so much.
Good night, Mr. Okoli. Good night, Mr.